For any mum, it's a heartbreaking decision. Give up your son in order to save him. That's what Wesley Connie's mother did after he was horrifically burned inside the family's grass hut home in the rugged and remote highlands of Papua New Guinea. Wesley was just a toddler, with the right side of his face, arms and chest fused into an indescribable mess of skin and scar tissue. So Wesley was brought to Australia for life-saving treatment. That was in 1993. The weeks turned into months. One surgery followed another, and 22 years later, Wesley's had 30 major operations. Now, he's heading home to see his mum. In the Eastern Highlands province of Papua New Guinea, through stunning valleys and past spectacular waterfalls, Wesley Connie is going home to see his mum.
Nervous, but really excited and can't wait to see Mum and Dad, the brothers, sisters.
You're going home, my friend, you're going home.
Home sweet home.
It's a 30-minute helicopter ride that's taken more than 2 decades. And with Wes is Malcolm Linsell, the plastic surgeon who's been saving this young man's life for most of his life.
It's just amazing to be going back home, but just as a transformed human being that he is now.
Our arrival creates interest, but as this is a surprise visit, we don't know if Wes's family is around or where they might be. Touchdown, your home soil for the first time in a long time. Here we are. We've got a little bit of a welcoming party here too, my friend. But before we find Wesley's mum and dad, we need to explain the last 22 years. We've come to a very delicate phase of the drawing.
Working with hair?
Working with hair or without?
Explain how a terrible accident left this once shy boy horrifically injured.
When I first saw him, I really thought, my God, what am I going to do here?
How surgeon Malcolm Linsell rebuilt Wes's disfigured face and body.
You know, the right side of his face was obliterated.
And in doing so, taught him that beauty runs much deeper than skin and scars. Malcolm, what do you think of Wesley?
I admire him. I actually think he's amazing, really.
What do you think would have happened to you without him?
I wouldn't be here. It's simple as that. I wouldn't be here today.
As a 25-year-old, Wesley has the looks of a battle-hardened warrior. But it's nothing compared with how Malcolm first saw Wes back in 1993.
His mouth is really attached to his chest about the level of the left armpit. His right eyebrow is attached to his chest just above where the right nipple would be.
He was really deformed. And I think that someone mentioned at the time that if something was not done for him, then he would have almost certainly died. And so I felt compelled to do something. I wasn't quite sure what that was, but I felt compelled.
Wesley had become like this after falling into a fire in his family's grass hut home. He was only 2 at the time, but being so isolated in the highlands of PNG, the medical care he received was rudimentary and didn't treat the burns properly. So, in his village over the next 2 years, His head and the right side of his body literally fused into this contorted mess.
I think he would be in for a dreadful life because as he gets older, he will become more repulsive to other people.
As they say, thank God for the salvos. They found out about Wesley and flew him to Melbourne in 1993. His dad, Connie, went with him, but his mum, Onampoor, had to stay behind in the village. In Australia, Wes met a young plastic surgeon, Malcolm Linsell, who, back then, was also a salvo.
It really is a miracle that he actually survived because he really shouldn't have.
As a frightened 4-year-old, Wes had no understanding of Australia, or big hospitals, or that for the first operation, Dr. Linsell had to almost cut his head off in order to save it.
I essentially had to cut his neck open on this side so that we could bring his head away from his chest just so the anaesthetist could put a tube in his mouth so we could start the operation.
You must have been a little bit apprehensive.
A little. I have a lot of apprehension and a lot of nervousness and some excitement also because I really felt that we could make a difference.
The surgery was as delicate as it was brutal.
We're doing very well so far. We've been able to mobilise his chin.
But after 5 hours of cutting, straightening his head and neck, and then grafting skin over the exposed flesh, the first operation was over.
I'm really pleased we've been able to do what we set out to do.
The operation goes...
The operation went as well as I could have expected.
What was the level of satisfaction like after the initial treatment?
I think firstly we hadn't done any harm and Wes had come through and he was alive. That was immensely satisfying.
Steady. Whoa. Good boy.
But it was only the beginning for Wes. His recovery meant more and more surgeries and never-ending physio sessions.
Oh, more.
As months turned into years, he couldn't understand why getting better hurt so much.
Straighten head, Wes. Good boy.
I saw Malcolm and I associated him with pain. I wouldn't even speak to him. Because, I think I just had the shits with him.
Too much pain associated with it.
Too much pain associated with him.
I don't blame him. I don't blame him at all. And I also think that also showed his courage and determination because he knew that I represented pain. He also knew that I represented some sort of hope for him, not just for survival, but for something moving forward.
How do you explain that courage?
That courage is deep within. And it's not some sort of learned behaviour. That courage is there. And it's so impressive as a young boy, but also, as he's got older. I see it still.
Wesley needed so much medical attention, it was impossible for him to return with his father to their village in the Highlands. Wesley would have to grow up without his family. So the Salvos rallied again, raised him in Australia and put him through school. But despite Malcolm's great surgical skills, Wesley was still different, and that made him an easy target for the bullies.
Kids would stare, kids would ask why, or sometimes they'd make fun, but I don't know, it's just had to get over that shit.
That's hard to get over. That's very difficult to get over. What sort of things would they say? What would they do?
One of the ones I remember was half boy.
Half boy.
Yeah. So.
Mate, that's terrible.
I guess if you dwell on it, then you can always stay back in the shadows. So it's pretty much, no, screw them. I'll do what I want.
You got strong.
Yeah. If I didn't, then I I wouldn't really live much of a life.
He copes with how he looks now, I think, really well. And within him is a confidence that outweighs the physical. Because, you know, in confidence there's attractiveness. You know, in confidence there's beauty. And Wes is beautiful.
Still to come, a homecoming like no other. We've got a little bit of a welcoming party here too, my friend. After more than 20 years,
Made a difference.
the emotional family reunion. That's next on 60 Minutes. 22 years ago, Wesley Connie waved goodbye to his mother and family in the remote highlands of Papua New Guinea to move to Australia. He was just 4 at the time, but it was his only hope after being horribly burnt. His recovery has been long and very painful. Now, after all he's been through, Wesley's heading home into the arms of his mum. Papua New Guinea is a spectacular country. These tribal warriors reckon the fiercer they look, the stronger they feel. Wesley Connie certainly agrees. With help from the Salvation Army and surgeons like Malcolm Linsell, he's survived the toughest of times. Hello. Very nice to see you. And now he's coming home.
Dad's already here.
Dad's here.
Dad's here.
We'll go and say hello. Wes's recovery in Australia has meant he's had no contact with his family in well over a decade.
Hello, Connie. Wesley?
In fact, it's been so long, at first, it's daunting for Wes's father, Connie. How are you, Papa? I'm Carl. This is Doctor. But then he remembers Malcolm.
Malcolm. Long time, yes, Malcolm.
Soon, we're meeting everyone. Who is this?
This is my sister.
You
know.
Wes's brothers, aunts, even nieces and nephews he didn't know existed. First time you met your brother's kid.
Yes.
And then, finally, Wesley's mum.
All right.
And how is it for your mum to have you home?
As you can see, she can't let go now. The grip's getting a bit tight.
And why not? After being apart for so many years, Onampour probably thought she'd never see this day or hug her son again. My friend, you are here after so long with your family.
I've always kind of hoped and dreamt of coming back one day. But the way it's come out like this, yeah, it's good to be home.
It's a special homecoming for Wes, and there's plenty of catching up to do.
She's a grandmother.
Oh, beautiful. Is it nice to have him home?
Yes.
So she's a woman of very few words.
Yes.
This is also a special time for Malcolm.
It's just awesome for me to see him come back in this way. I can see the emotional side of it, that, you know, the difference it's made in his life and his family's life. You know, that's fabulous.
Very, very satisfying for you.
Absolutely.
You all right?
Yeah.
It's good. It's good. Something to be proud of.
Yeah.
You don't get to see it very often, do you?
No, I don't. It's, it's awesome.
The village of Onamuga is remote, and life here is pretty basic. In this grass hut, it's easy to see how, all those years ago, Wesley's accident happened. But it's his father Connie who wants to speak
Because tablong handlong Malcolm na Wesley life
and pass on a simple message of thanks to Malcolm.
long Malcolm.
He says, without you, we wouldn't be here today, and words cannot express how much he is grateful for you and for coming back home.
Thank you.
Family.
My pleasure.
Family now, they say.
Family, yeah. I've got a place to come for holidays, right?
Don't be expecting air conditioning, but
Oh, is that right?
Back in Australia, Wesley's got yet another operation. And yet again, Malcolm Linsel's in charge.
Good, Wes. You got any questions?
can't wait to wake up.
No one's kept an exact count, but the best guess is he's had between 20 and 30 surgeries. This one is to give his chin more definition by removing some fatty tissue. When you see how far you've come from that original operation, it's quite extraordinary, isn't it?
It's an amazing feeling. It's actually a real privilege.
Here he comes again. Oh! Dip! He got ya. A few days later, Wes is out of hospital, back doing what he likes best.
Peace.
There's no peace in here. And it's here another side of this young man is revealed.
You ready? Oh!
To show his thanks to everyone who's looked after him, Wes has chosen to work for the Salvation Army, helping kids at Macquarie Fields in Sydney's southwest.
Working with the kids, it's a really good feeling. In a weird way, it's like I've been given so much and helped out so much. It's good to give back.
And how do the kids treat you? How do they respond to you?
They see me as a big kid, which I am a big kid at heart.
Because of an awful accident, Wesley Connie's life now straddles two countries and cultures. And you're the Prime Minister?
Carl.
Very nice to see you.
Welcome to Papua New Guinea.
Thank you.
Welcome.
This is Wesley.
Wesley, you're all right, huh?
When the Prime Minister of Papua New Guinea, Peter O'Neill, heard about Wes, he arranged a meeting to invite him to be part of this country's future. For a kid who grew up thinking no one wanted to see him, this is a wonderful moment.
Listen, there's a lot to do here, so you're always welcome back, and a lot of kids who will listen to your story and be inspired by it. And so please don't take too long to come back. Huh? You're not coming.
Try not to. I'm missing the weather.
Yes, it's a bit warm up here.
Time to go, my friend.
Yes. Guess it's time to go.
Up in the Highlands, the hours went by like minutes, and in no time, the hellos became goodbyes.
Okay.
The promise from Wesley to his parents is that his next visit to the village will be sooner rather than later. And for Malcolm, all these years later, this is about being much more than a doctor.
But for me, that was fabulous.
But it got you.
It got me, yeah, look, you know, and it got me because I think it was particularly with Connie, his father, recognising me, and I felt, my gosh, you know, after 20 years, I've made a difference. And the fact that his dad could see that was awesome.
You should be so proud of yourself.
Thank you. And yeah, I am. And I'm privileged that, you know, I've been part of his life.
When you look at yourself now, are you comfortable? What do you see?
Well, I see a strong person. See someone who won't take crap from what others think anymore.
How would you sum up who you are?
Awesome. I'm awesome, bro.
You are awesome, bro.
Hello, I'm Liz Hayes. Thanks for watching. To keep up with the latest from 60 Minutes Australia, make sure you subscribe to our channel. You can also download the 9Now app for full episodes and other exclusive 60 Minutes content.